Chairman Gennady Gerasimov said today the whale rescue is an example of U.S.-Soviet cooperation, and it would be good if the superpowers would do the same for saving human life.
A new report from the...
Meantime, the Russians are coming to Alaska's other whale rescue near Barrow. 2 Soviet icebreakers should arrive on the scene around noon Tuesday. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration made the announcement late today in Barrow.
We requested assistance. NOAA requested assistance. The USSR said they'd help. We've gotten clearance, all the clearances, obviously, and we're just going to take it from there.
Live in Barrow is Channel 2's Todd Pottinger. Todd, what will the role be?
That are on their way here about 250 miles away right now, an icebreaker and an ice-breaking cargo vessel. Again, they should be here sometime Tuesday. And while the Soviet initiative is encouraging, it could be just another proposal in the effort to free the whales that has yet to work. This is a pressure ridge, mostly solid ice to the sea floor. It is a wall separating the whales from the open sea. Ice experts are mapping it with red dye, a possible channel through the ice for the whales. 4 miles away, the route of about 60 holes snakes towards the pressure ridge. The whales are favoring these lengthy holes. Biologists say that's good. It's easier for them to breathe here. The rest of the holes will be cut the same way. Biologists were relieved to find the whales were not getting frostbite on their backs and heads from surfacing unnaturally. The water is just 12 feet deep beyond the longer breathing hole. The whales appear reluctant to make it through the shallow water, but biologists say it should not be a problem.
Well, I've personally seen gray whales and bowheads navigating in less than 12 feet of water.
Another piece of hardware has joined the rescue effort. The Archimedes screw, normally used in the oil business. The Vico vehicle will ride on its pontoons and clear 16-inch ice at the same time.
An icebreaker it's not, but an ice crusher, it does the job.
Archimedes was to have its first trial on the Barrow ice this afternoon, but as with the failure of the ice-breaking barge and all the other technological claims, they'll all be proved when the whales are set free.
Todd, what is the condition of the 2 whales?
Well, right now there's no change in the condition as far as we know. Biologists say they're stable again, and they believe part of that has to do with the lengthening of that hole where they can surface better and breathe better. So as far as we know, they're fairly stable.
Todd, I understand this has been a rather slow day up in Barrow today, but this story obviously still garnering national, international attention. How are the reporters feeling about the story at this time? Anybody getting sick of Barrow and wanting to get out of there?
Well, there's a little bit of a feeling of a lost momentum in the story, but with the Soviets coming up, that should add a little bit more spice, I guess, if you will, to what's going on up here.
Okay, hang in there, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. That's Todd Pottinger reporting live from Barrow. And still to come on Channel 2 News, a return home for a troubled Navy ship.
Good evening. There is a delay tonight in the rescue effort to free 3 California gray whales trapped in the ice off Barrow.
The barge that will be used to break the ice will not be moved now until tomorrow morning. Crews spent the day today repairing the hovercraft barge and preparing it for the journey from Prudhoe to Barrow. The barge will be towed by an Alaska Army National Guard Sky Crane helicopter now standing by. The 185-ton barge was to have left tonight from Prudhoe, but concern over flying at night has grounded the crew until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Todd Pottinger is standing by live in Barrow right now. Todd, if the barge does leave on schedule, when will it reach the whales?
Well, there's no telling right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're getting a lot of different reports as far as how fast the barge will travel. Some say 12 knots an hour, some say as much as 30 knots an hour, and the travel time could be as much as 40 hours, 12 hours. There's just a lot of different reports going on, mostly because the CH-54, this Army National Guard Sky Crane helicopter, has never been used to tow this barge, so it's rather experimental. As for what's going on in Barrow, this drama with the whales has captured the world's attention, but in Barrow itself, not everyone seems as excited. They are alive, but it's not certain how long the 3 California gray whales can survive. The 2 weeks under the ice have taken their toll. Their breathing more labored. The exhaustion from fighting the current. The cuts on the whales' beaks have opened further as they search for a passage that won't be open until an ice-breaking barge arrives possibly late tomorrow. Yesterday, natives and marine biologists worked to keep the 2 small holes in the ice open for the whales as temperatures stayed below zero. The plight of these whales is a compelling story, but to the city of Barrow, a community that hunts whales for subsistence, this episode seems to be generating a lot more attention outside than inside the village.
Do you think it'll work?
I think so. I hope so.
At Barrow's Top of the World Hotel, NBC Network News works on its Eastern Time deadline, a 1 p.m. satellite feed for NBC Nightly News. The story has brought network competition. ABC is in town as well. CBS and CNN scheduled to arrive late today. All this attention, but for many of the 3,500 folks who call Barrow home, the story in their own backyard is not that big of a story.
Seen him in the TV for a couple of minutes, maybe. I heard about that. I don't know how far it is from here, though.
Heard about it today from my husband, and I didn't know they were out there trapped.
The last time when I heard about them was 2 weeks ago. I didn't know nothing about them.
Some people just don't know about Barrow, and, you know, I guess this will help them realize where Barrow is, because, you know, they hear some things about Barrow, but they don't really know where it's at.
We're back now live in Barrow. We should mention that the whale captains in Barrow are not among the disinterested. They held a meeting Saturday night to set up work details to get those chainsaws out on the ice, and they've been doing that intermittently for the last couple of days. There is word that a ditch witch will be brought out to the ice by the whales tomorrow. There's just a rumor of that. We can't confirm that, but that ditch witch apparently going to be trying to break up the ice in advance of that barge. Again, we don't know exactly when that barge will get here. Joining us now is Cindy Lowry from Alaska's Greenpeace, the Alaska chapter of Greenpeace. Cindy, what is Greenpeace going to be doing when that barge gets here and leading out the whales?
Well, once the barge does get here and clears the ice path, we want to make sure the whales move on out into the open water. And so I'm having some gray whale sound recordings sent up tomorrow, and then also a person that's done a lot of interspecies communication. I think I'm going to probably have him come up on a flight tomorrow with his playback equipment, which is needed to play the sounds, and drop them in with a hydrophone.
There's been a lot of cooperation, oil companies, Greenpeace. You're not usual allies. How would you explain that?
Well, I guess it just has to do with whales, and people really like whales, and I think it's one of these issues that everybody can be on the same side, and so we're all going for the same goal.
Okay, thanks very much. Cindy Lowry with Greenpeace in Alaska. John and Julie, back to you.
Todd, often in situations like these, attempts are made to humanize the story, and we understand that's the case with the whales as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
We understand that they've perhaps come up with some names for the whales in an effort to try to humanize the story a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah, I have the names right here. The middle of the aged one is called Poo-Too. Apparently the biologists that went out today named all 3 of the whales Poo-Too. You'll have to forgive my Inupiaq, but that means ice hole. The middle-aged one is the one that apparently has pneumonia, the biologists say, so they're looking out for that one. The biggest one, Siku, which means ice, that's the biggest one, and Kanik, which means snowflake, that's the youngest one, the one that appears to have sustained the most damage to their the front portion of the whale, really banged up there.
Todd, there's been talk of the whaling captains in town harvesting the whales in the worst-case scenario that the rescue does not succeed. What's the latest on that situation?
Well, we understand that the whale meat, the gray whales are not usually harvested in Barrow, so the meat would have been possibly of some use to the natives, but right now they're just all behind this effort. They've got their chainsaws out there, and they really they don't want to appear as you know, as hunters in this at all. They're really behind the effort to rescue them, and they're going to see that rescue effort through. If it does fail, we don't have any word what they plan to do, but again, it's not certain whether those whales will be that appealing to them anyway.
We understand one of the smaller whales perhaps has pneumonia. What's the latest on that?
We don't have an update on that. No one has been out. Nightfall, of course, here. No one's been out there, but you know, we were out there earlier today, and there was some wheezing, and I mean, at least from a layman's point of view, sounded much different from the other two whales.
Todd, thanks for joining us. It looks a little chilly. Just how cold is it right now up there?
Well, with the wind chill apparently -11, so not quite as toasty as back in Anchorage.
My word. Thanks, Todd. Stay
Thanks,
warm. Todd Pottinger reporting live from Barrow. And joining us now in the studio is Carrie Kerrigan, who perhaps can shed a little light on exactly what predicament is facing the whales with the ice and just how that ice has moved into shore there.
A lot of people don't really have a good comprehension of how the ice moves up along the North Slope, and if, you know, I can use a little picture here, I think I can kind of give you an idea of exactly what's